Hi there. Today we're going to look at Lesson 4, Chapter 6, Exercise 4. I think it's on page 173. This is the isolate command. This will come in really handy when you're dealing with complex drawings. So let's take a quick look at AutoCAD. Okay, so this doesn't look like much. So if I do a zoom extents, Z enter, E enter. Come on. Try that again. Z enter, E enter. Okay, so any of you who are familiar with architectural drawings know that this is a site plan. This is the outline of a house. These squiggly lines are the contours of the lot. There's a lot going on here. And let's say you need to figure out the area and the perimeter, the area of this driveway, so that you can figure out how much concrete you need, or the perimeter of the driveway in case you're going to put in pavers along the edges. So what do? Well, there is, under your layer command, a button or a command called isolate. The shortcut key LAYISO, layer isolate. So if I click on that, and you'll see in the commands down at the bottom, select the objects on the layer to be isolated. So I select that layer, and it turns everything else off. But I want to show you what happens when it goes wrong. So let me undo that. I'm going to go back to isolate, and instead of selecting the object, I'm going to click settings. I'm going to turn on lock and fade, because sometimes this is the default. If you haven't used it before, this is what it's going to look like. So I put a 50% fade, and then I select the thing I want to isolate, and everything else still shows up. It's not good. I hate that. So I'm going to undo. I'm going to go back to isolate. I'm going to go back to settings. I'm going to say off. Make sure that your setting says off. Then select the object that you want. Okay. So of all the stuff that's on that plan, you can isolate to just the stuff that you need. Okay. Now, this is the walkway that goes from the turning circle up to the front of the house. And this is a good one to figure out. If I'm going to pour concrete, what's the area for the concrete? And if I'm going to put in pavers, how many linear feet of pavers do I need? Okay. So right now you can see that it's all broken up into pieces. And to do an area, you really need to be a polyline. But sometimes when you're dealing with splines, they don't want to turn into a closed polyline with the polyline edit command. So instead, use the boundary command. Shortcut is BO. Boundary is like hatch and like gradient, but what it does is it creates a region or a polyline from the enclosed area. You can see the little graphic is actually a site plan. So I'm going to pick that. It asks me to pick points, island detection, create a polyline. So I click pick points, pick in there. If the whole thing lights up, it means it works. Hit enter. Okay, so it didn't work as a polyline because the geometry is too complex. It created a region. But if I click on that, I get a complete loop. And if I list it, LI, it gives me my area and my perimeter, which is perfect for determining whatever you need that area and that perimeter for. Let me show you another example. So here's part of a driveway that goes back to an RV parking. So here again, it's individual line segments. These ones you could easily turn into a closed polyline, use the polyline edit PE command. But again, draw boundary is a lot quicker and does the same thing. You just pick inside the space, hit enter, and then it draws a polyline on top of those individual line segments. And again, here's my area and my perimeter. It's really that easy. Now to turn all of those layers back on that you have isolated right now, what it did, let me show you as I pull this out, is it turned off the light bulbs on every layer except the ones that I wanted to stay on. Here's the unisolate or lay uniso. Do that, everything comes back. And let's stop sharing. And that's all there is to it. So read up on chapter 6 about the isolate command if you need more information, or go online and research AutoCAD isolate command.